Morning guys, it's Simon at Kairos Capital Markets with the weekly review of Aussie dollar and pound yen. So the Aussie dollar last week has actually closed below the 75 level cleanly for the first time. Also on the weekly chart, that has given a nice close also below the weekly 50. So we've got this kind of to and fro on this weekly 50 EMA at the moment. So what I'm looking for this week is what is there available to us. So in all fairness now, what defines this goes up or down is going to be the daily 50, daily 200 EMAs and this downward sloping trend line. Now there was two things I looked at also on intraday. So you could see this as a falling wedge as well, because we can quite happily just draw a line from there to there and say, oh look, it's a falling wedge, it's going to go up. So really what that means is I wouldn't be surprised for it to come back up to at least test the daily 50 a third time. Obviously, you know guys, I took a trade off the daily 50 last week, which was quite nice. So I don't think I'd want to trade into and going up into the 75 level, because if you look on the 4-hour chart, this is quite a mess. So this is your wedge pattern. If you notice, I had a line last week going upwards as a triangle as a short-term trade. So obviously I want to get out. But if you was going to say trade it now, for example, go long, you're going long into the 75 level, which is aggravation. The 4-hour 50, which has sometimes hasn't been respected, and you're still going against that weekly momentum. So I wouldn't like to go long on this at all. I'd like to retest this trend line here and then take it short again, because you're still within the pattern you are, and you're still following the daily chart as well, which is quite nice. Now coincide with that as well will be the dollar index. So just for an example, you have to understand if Aussie dollar pulls back, is it dollar weakness or is it Aussie strength? And it could actually be seen more as Aussie strength rather than anything else, because the dollar is in this falling wedge pattern as well, which is a bullish pattern on the daily. You can see it a bit cleaner on the weekly there. I did take up my upward sloping trend line, not because it was invalid or anything, just because it made it too messy for me. So if the dollar does actually collapse down below this 12220 level and the weekly 50, I would obviously see a pullback down to the 12100 level, which is also quite nice. And if that did happen, you would most likely on Aussie dollar see a move up to the cleanly up to the daily 50, and maybe above the daily 50 up to the 77 again. So I think this here will define what's going to happen next for this week. If you do get a nice test of the week of the daily 50, I would like to take it short again. And again now, if I only to the 75 level, because I don't want to trade through that, I want a nice clean break off it and then come back to retest it properly in a couple of weeks' time after the French elections have disappeared. Moving on to pound yen now. Now pound yen has moved up violently in the direction we thought it would, and that's quite I suppose we couldn't get on it just yet. The daily runs had, if you start from the bottom here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bullish days out of 10 days, and some of them be quite violent days as well. So for me there's no trade as such. I mean, I suppose you could say I had a break and retest of the 140 level here, but that's not really what I think is fantastic here. So what I'm looking for now is a pullback down to the 140 level. There is some negative confidence factors to that though if that does happen. So if we pull back this week now, or the next couple of weeks down to the 140 level, it does show we rejected the weekly 50 EMA, which is does look a negative confidence factor. But then we are actually also back to the daily, we're testing this triangle again, which is either a continuation or a topping pattern, and the fact we broke out quite nicely to the upside, a nice pullback down to the 140 level, daily 50 key level, the triangle's on our side as well there. I would say to go long from there. So that begs the question next, what about my euro pound position? Because if pound yen pulls back, that means the pound could be getting weaker, and it can be seen as that. And at the moment, just now, we are getting a little pullback on this pair here on euro pound. But what I see on the pound yen is that the yen actually requires more of a pullback in strength wise rather than the pound in its weakness wise. And let me explain why here. This euro yen gap here is huge. Now this was caused by the French elections, and it stayed up above the gap in no problem. Normally in Forex, the gaps like to get filled, and a pullback would be quite nice here as well. So the fact that Euro Yen can pull back, Swiss Yen's the same, and partly on Dollar Yen as well. So some of the yen pairs do need a pullback, and that would coincide also with Pound Yen needing a pullback as well. So for me personally, on that side of things, I'm happy to keep it open for the moment, but monitor it. Just so you know, this position will not be open over this coming weekend with the French elections, especially after the capping here. I'm not happy to leave it open whatsoever, so I'm happy just to, for the moment, leave it until Friday the latest. My limit is 8:36. Sorry, my limit is that. So hopefully we get tagged out before that. If not, we'll just take whatever's there, because I'm not going to hold open until for the weekend. Guys, I hope you have a good week, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.